Welcome everybody. It's your Saturday sweep webinars here with Lucci and Jesus, and today's topic is a pretty good one here: how to gauge sector sentiment to locate profitable trading opportunities. And as you know, each day in, day out, as we come to the desk here looking for trade opportunities, it's important to identify what the overall sentiment is in the market, as well as sector sentiment, as well as where, a lot of the activity is trading. Most of the times where, let's say you trade similar names every single day, you're not going to find the same aggressively tradable opportunities, over and over again on a daily basis or even an intraday basis. So, for example, if you trade a lot of the large cap names like myself, you'll catch a move in Bank of America maybe once or twice a month, a solid follow-through kind of continuation move that you can play and get aggressive in. So, it's very important to understand sector sentiment, just to understand where the money flow is going and where the clean action is. And anybody who trades during earnings season knows that it's pretty difficult to find, some of the clean trading activity and some of the clean tradable sort of opportunities on an intraday basis. And this is why gauging sector sentiment is so vital. And again, another reason that points back to options order flow as a good way to find some of that action. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it to Jesus here. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how to gauge that order flow in particular sectors, when to trade opportunity in different names based on some of that order flow that we're talking about, how to trade some of these movers and looking for the dips, and we'll try to get into a couple different topics after that. So Jesus, man, take it away, man.
All right, thank you, Lucci. Good morning, everybody out there. Thanks for coming on a Saturday. And this is my favorite topic to both discuss and explain, because it really drives home the point that I try to stress almost every day, seemingly, of how this wise guy order flow should not be taken for each individual alert per se. Okay, one buy, one call buyer in Gilead means absolutely nothing, and a lot of people get tied into doing that. Because they hear about these unusual scanners and everything else everybody out there is pushing. But it's more about using this information as an indicator, okay? And you can almost compare it to, I use the example, a lot of people are interested in what the insiders are doing, and you see when insiders are buying stock, but that's all delayed information, okay? We get that information days, weeks after they actually go in the market and buy that stock. Okay, the same thing with like the David Tepper, the Paulsons of the world, the big fund managers. We get those reports where they take big stakes in like a Facebook or a Baba, and everyone gets all giddy and excited, okay, about that stock. But that's old news, okay, really old news. And the way I look at this, the wise guy flow, we're getting all that in real time. Yes, we don't know the specific individuals, but when you take a step back, okay, and not just concentrate on each individual alert, but put the whole picture together, that's what basically we're looking at, okay? We're getting a real-time gauge of what the professional, the sharp money's doing out there aggressively, which is important in the option market. And I'll give you a couple of examples how it could set up a sweet spot, as I like to call it, and as Lucci just mentioned. It's one thing when you're in a bull market and like we are now, okay, where we've had the rally off the lows and we're grinding higher and we're getting a little long in the tooth. But to spot these trends, okay, these breakouts in individual sectors is what I like to refer as the sweet spot, where you can really get in early, okay, with minimal risk, and obviously make a lot of money. And I'll show you a couple examples of that today and how we interpreted the flow and how it reacted in price. All right, and we'll start off with the Qs. All right, and like I said, I'll go maybe 3-4 sectors depending on the time here, and we'll take some questions after that. All right, but the QQQ was one of the first groups that was hit up in those Bazooka Joe lows, as everybody out there knows, I refer to them as. The actual bottom, okay, where this rally started, the QQQ was the main ETF, the main group they went into pretty deeply, okay, pretty significantly. And we'll pull up here on February 11th, okay, these were the initial orders here. You could see here we spotted, it was a sweep, okay, buzz guy action. March 99 calls, $300,000 bet, and he swept multiple exchanges to get filled on this order, okay? And then you can see right above it, I mean, the same exact day, almost a mirror image bet, but this time they spent over $500,000 and swept multiple exchanges to get filled on that order. Okay, these are the alerts off private Twitter. We have them in the Steam room as well with the commentary behind it. Okay, but that particular day, if I could take you guys back, if you don't remember, this market was selling off significantly, okay? And we really didn't see any buying at all coming into these markets. Very little buying. They were all in weekly, small bets, just looking to trade in and out pretty quickly. This was the first real sign that we had some of the big guys out there, okay, the sharp money, want to step in and own something, okay? And they were pretty significant bets. And the Qs were the first group, like I just mentioned, to catch that action. So right there and then, okay, and again, this is all commentary I throw in the Steam room as the action is hitting the tape and so forth, but right then and there, we're told that the professional money is not only focusing on a rebound from these levels, but they're betting that the techs are going to lead us out, okay? And the confirmation of that, after we saw these Q bets, we saw names like Apple, Facebook, all the big tech names. I'll pull up some Apple action back then so you could see exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so basically painting the picture that the group they're going into, okay, they're not just broadly buying everything per se, but the group they want to own is big tech. And I'll take you back to that day where we saw the Apple bets were quite significant as well. And you can see here, let me see if I can blow that up. All right, so again, this is February 11th, the same day as the Q bets. All right, so they coincide. And this player bought February 93 calls, $144,000 bet. He swept multiple exchanges there, okay? And then immediately right after that, 3 minutes after that, he came in with another order. At that time, they were the 311, 92.5 weeklies, almost a $2 million bet there. Okay, so that's the type of action that you want to see when these guys are making a bet on a group. All right, and again, I want to stress, this is the initial entry point. In other words, we didn't see any Q action for a good couple of months, all right? But even if it was a good month or two, we didn't see any action in the Qs or the tech names at all of this caliber. And then all of a sudden they come in and swing a hammer on the Q, the NASDAQ ETF, and Apple as well. And you can see here over a $2 million bet, and on almost, you know, at the same exact time as that Q, a little bit after that QQQ bet, and it's right here. And as you can see, they bang the lows there, the absolute lows. So this is the type of action that you want to look for when they come in and make these significant bets in the sectors, okay? Like I said, any individual bet can mean anything, especially when a rally like we're in right now gets a little long in the tooth. Of course you're going to see some bullish action in names, all right? But when they initially get into a sector, and I'll show you other examples, again, that's where the big money is made, all right? And they hit up several other names. Avgo was another name that they came in significantly on. That was a couple of days after. And as you can see here, I got it marked off on the chart. And, you know, all the tech names took off and just have been in bull mode ever since. All right, let me give you another example here. I want to go to gold, okay, which was, I mean, gold was a dog for a long time, okay, until it finally caught some action here. Let me pull up. All right. Now, this is back on January 27th. The reason why I want to show this picture, this screenshot to you, on 1/26, January 26th, was where the initial action in GLD took place. All right, so we're looking right around here. Now, what I'm showing you here are the top open interest changes from the day before in GLD. All right, this is all action. Again, hit the steam room, tote board, as I like to call it, private Twitter. All these alerts were right there in front of our eyes. So we saw this happen in real time. But these were the top OI changes that carried over to the next day. And you could see plus 75,000, plus 74,000, plus 21,000. You know, we haven't seen buying like this in GLD, I can't remember how long. You know, so obviously it was telling us this rally was for real. And as you can see here, you know, again, they didn't nail the lows per se as the QQQ, but I'm just showing you an example here as, you know, everybody who was trading at this time and looking at gold, nobody believed this rally was real. I didn't believe this rally was real. I mean, gold, there's been bull traps in gold for years, okay? And then finally, the sharp money came in and really swung a hammer here, as I just showed you with the size, that was just absolutely enormous. All right, so, and on the chart here, you can see this was a nice, again, initial entry level, even though they weren't, again, as I repeat, lows, this was a nice level here to catch this breakout early, and you could see this move higher, powerful move higher. All right, and names again, in this particular one, when they hit the GLD, there weren't too many names hit that day. Okay, it was more of a ETF, a sector bet, and that happens a lot with GLD. But what happened a couple days later was that they came into the miners, okay, and that caught fire. All right, and you can see here, these miners were hit up, and I'll pull up, I think I have it here. Hang on, bear with me. All right, I'll pull it up here. This GDX caught a lot of action right with gold, and there's been bull action to this day in the GDX, to be quite honest here. But here, I'll show you as we go back. Okay. You can see here several bullish alerts on this GLD. You can see here the steam room has the tote board. I call it every call buyer on the tote board is a miner. That date was February 3rd. Okay, the gold miners caught a lot of action. GDX, oh, I went too far back. Where are we? Okay, here we go. This was early January, January 6th. They played February calls, again, back there in January, almost a 10,000 lot sweeper there. You know, HMI, SAND, NSU, these are all gold miners that caught action all around these levels here, okay, with the GLD. And again, a significant move all the way higher. And I have this marked off here because we saw, again, sharp action coming here on the GDX, but this time it was a little bit different. This time was a monster put seller that came in. All right, and this is more recent, so you guys can relate. And this guy decided to sell 45,000 May 18 puts to open. You can see by my remarks here that was a quite significant bet right there. And this was right around the Fed as well. Okay, and again, this is just something that when you see this type of action, okay, and you see it confirmed with tack-on action, as I like to say, with other names. For example, like the SLW, that was a miner that caught action. ABX, another miner, you can see I have marked off here, caught action when it caught the TV.
Man, that NUGT.
That NUGT, that caught action with the latest, with the put seller. About a week after the put seller there, just an enormous move, you know? And I have the nugget here as well. So, you know, it's about putting everything together and using this more as an indicator. And this is something every trader can do. You know, I keep using the phrase, everybody wants a stock pick, and it's just, you're missing out on the big picture, guys, if that's what you're looking for out of this intel. When you can take a step back and put these type of things together and create a picture of what the professional money is doing out there, that's where, you know, you can swing positions, take positions, and make a decent amount of money. And here was actually a Lucci tweet on this nugget. And at the time, you know, the stock was $54, $55. Lucci remembers it well. And, you know, it was a way out of the money 90 call buyer. Okay, 429.90 call buyer. And you can see here, I got it marked off here. So we're talking, you know, under $60, around $56, $55. And then it didn't even take long to react. It just exploded. And the only reason, again, that nugget trade in itself, you know, might not have been that significant. Okay, it was unusual action. It was a sweep. It was a legitimate bet. But because of the action in the minors that's been going on in GDX, ABX, all these names, that's what made this nugget bet significant. All right, let me go to a couple quick other sectors before I run out of time here, because I want to get the point. This is not luck, guys. When you see this type of action all come together, and as Lucci mentioned, it doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen every week. This is something you got to sit and just wait for the picture to come together. All right, here's the IBB, another one Lucci knows well. This is one we all were all over, because this was just a beautiful setup. All right, oh, I have it here. I'm doing this here. All right, and here, the IBB, we haven't seen action, and sweepers in IBB are very rare. Let me start off with that. So when we see action in IBB, we always get excited because, like I said, very rare that we see aggressive sweepers in the ETF. And here we saw a weekly 4-8 sweeper. He swept 2,000 of the 4-8-265 calls for 360. All right, and then right after that, another significant bet, 43.93, almost 5,000 of the May 280 calls. All right, and then another buyer, 41.21 of the May 280 calls. All right, and this all happened right when IBB was in a sweet spot, as I like to say. And you can see, you look back here, and this looked like it might have started to break out. It failed. This looked like it was ready to break out. Lured in some bulls, it failed. So you could easily get wrapped up into chasing these moves, and especially if you're trading options, obviously you could get killed in these things. All right, the timing is the most important thing. And here is where the IBB sweepers came in. All right, they didn't come in here, they didn't come in here, they came here. So this set up beautifully for us. I know Lucci was already eyeing this IBB and didn't make a move until he saw the flow confirm that, and it confirmed it on this day. And we saw in the coming days action in Gilead to confirm, Amgen to confirm, several biotech names. That Jazz was a little later, more recent, but that had a nice gap up higher the other day. So again, it starts off, not all the time. Sometimes you'll see it start off in the names and then they go into the ETFs. But usually when they come in and hit up a group, they'll hit up the ETFs and then they'll trickle into the names, and you know, it all together to set up a very profitable move. All right, and I want to stress, listen, a move that's tradable and very profitable. You can't expect to get in on IBB here, all right, and then hold to see new highs. I mean, you got to be realistic. This move that we saw already in IBB is a very, very profitable move here. Like I said, a sweet spot, as I like to call it. All right, and I think I touched on all the groups there. Oh, you know what else I wanted to hit on? Oil. All right, and what we saw in oil. Hang on a second. Where the names actually led the ETFs. All right, and we'll start off here with Marathon Oil, MRO, was one of the first names they hit up. And this was a monster opening put seller on the February 25th on MRO. All right, you can see here. And we saw some, again, some action around it. We saw put selling in USO. We saw put selling in the MLP ETFs, AMLP and AMJ. So again, all the action was there. It wasn't just one single order. But here, MRO, they sold something of 60,000 contracts, okay, and just absolutely marked the bottom there. Call sweepers follow right after that, both weekly, monthly, and further out. So confirmed the whole move here. And you can see here on the chart, MRO was one of the big winners. Rig as well, and this is a good example because this put seller actually closed a couple of weeks after he sold to open. Let me see, I got that rig on here, I think. Yeah. All right, and you can see here, here we go. That was on the 25th of February. Opening put seller of 39,000 plus March 7 puts. Okay, I mean, again, guys, you can see the size there. I mean, they're selling 40,000 puts to open. Lucci will tell you the type of capital you need to put on trades like this. It's not your retail traders out there that are placing these orders. Okay, and that's why, you know, it's always, you got to take note when you see something like this. And here's the rig. All right, and that's where they sold those puts. Again, call sweepers followed right after that, and just a beautiful move. And this put seller actually closed this position. The MRO, we didn't see him close the position, but this rig put seller closed this position here, actually faded back, and now we're starting to see actually some bullish flow back in rig. Okay, but this move, again, is a very profitable move that everybody could take advantage of. Okay, this is not a scalp. This is not a quick day trade. This is a nice swing or a nice trade where you could take a decent sized position. All right, you minimize your risk, and you see a sizable move on that position. But again, it's something you can't look for every single day. All right, this is something you have to really sit back and wait for. But as I showed you here, all this year, okay, we had the QQQ action, we had the GLD action, the GDX action, the miners, we had the biotechs most recently, we had the oils. So, I mean, there's enough trades there to take advantage of, or even to just gather sentiment to position accordingly. You know what I mean? It gives you a real gauge of where the strength lies in this market. But that's basically it. I think I hit up, I don't know, Lucci, if you want to add anything in particular. I know you traded several of these things quite successfully. Yep. But this is where the real juice is at in this wise guy flow, guys. It's not about the individual alerts. This is where the sweet spot of the action is.
Nice, nice. All right, guys. I have a little bit more to add on a couple specific names and then a couple actual setups and how you might want to trade some of these things, whether, you're an intraday trader or a swing guy. Jesus, Marco has a great question that we're going to take a little bit. He's saying it's easy to spot in hindsight that a series of sweeps call a reversal of a sector, but how do you realize that in real time? Okay, and he's saying first webinar for me, so sorry if the question is old. And to Marco's point, it's like, if you're in the steam room, we're in all these names. And in reality, like, you're looking at this chart in hindsight in the sense that, okay, rig exploded 4 points, off of a put seller. But when that put seller came into the market, it was at 8.5. The stock was at 8.5. That move was not there. Now, granted, the extent to which you could have caught it, again, we could sit here and argue all day. But the point is, when you're inside the steam room, you're looking at this in real time, you're talking about it with us, this is where, I personally get super aggressive when I see some of this action hit the tape. And that is all happening in real time. Now, to your point, though, it's very easy, again, to look at everything in hindsight, and that's the name of the game, right? When we do these webinars and, people want to show how technical analysis gave them this trade or that trade or blah, 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 that's the only way they can show what happened. So, Marco, in order to get this stuff real time and to see how it happens real time, I can sit here and talk, and we can sit here and talk all we want, but you're going to have to get in here and check it out for yourself. And, the link that I just posted and gave it all to you, you can check it out just for your first month for $49, man. You know what I mean? Come into the steam room, see what we got going on, see how some of these things are hitting. These things are hitting in real time. And the only question is, are you going to act? Are you going to take advantage of it? So for anybody else to sit there and say, okay, I made money on this, this, and this, it's not going to hit you. It's not going to hit you. It's not going to affect you. You got to get in there and get your hands dirty. That's really what it comes down to. I'm going to show you an example, though, of a intraday action and sort of the sector rotation that has been happening recently, particularly on the rig actually, which was Friday's action. I know Jesus showed plenty of action there on what was it, Friday? It was Friday there, Jesus, right?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about more recently. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
Rick.
yeah. All right. So to Marco's point, let me go into another example of how you might be able to trade some of this activity intraday, and that way, again, this might help get you over the hump. So Friday in the morning, immediately we saw 11 calls being bought on rig. Okay, and these also come out on the alerts as well. I can scroll back here all the way for you, till the morning here, but it's probably easier just to go from here. So again, right off the open here, there was some buying here in rig. Now rig, if you take a look at this particular name here, on Friday there was not much action. There wasn't a lot of action across the board. Rig was one of the major ones. Now right off the open, this thing caught some buying. So it's like, okay, how do you trade this thing intraday? Number one, let's just assume you missed this move, right? But you know this name is in play. You know this name is in play because you continue to see buying on the flow, through the steam room or through your private Twitter. And you'll see again here, 1245, more rig buying, that same activity, right? That same option here, May, okay? And what did they do? They came in at around 11 o'clock, a little bit before, yeah, right around here at 11, just to continue to buy more. So you're looking for dips in active names that are traded aggressively in the flow. Okay, so we know most of the action here for Friday was going to rig. So let's say you missed this move, you're looking for these pullbacks to shoot another entry out. Okay, this is how you're going to actively intraday trade some of these things. Okay, now if you're just kind of like a newbie trader, you're going to see some of this activity and you're just going to want in immediately. And unfortunately, this is the place where you're going to need a lot of help on. And, we can't sit there and handhold you that much, right? Most intraday traders are going to look at a name like this. They're going to be like, oh, shit, I missed this. And immediately, they're probably going to buy up here. They're probably going to buy up here. And this thing's going to pull back on them, and they're going to end up taking a loss, okay? Why? Because they don't know how to trade these things, okay? So, again, that's something that the Steam Room will help you out with. If you're kind of a newbie trader and you're trying to figure out how to use some of this activity to give you some actual tradable opportunities, okay? So reading the flow is one thing. How to execute on the flow is a completely other thing. So I'll put that to Marco and put that to everybody else in here. Everybody else has different strategies. You might have an intraday scalping strategy. You might have a swing strategy. You might have just trading futures. You might have a whole sector bet kind of thing where you just want to mess with some names in oil. Oil was down on Friday. But there was just active call buying in rig. And there was just active activity in rig. Also, this is a name that completely retraced that huge move. So this was kind of like a beatdown name. And it just saw some activity on Friday, regardless of what oil was doing. If you take a look at oil on Friday, it was shit. Wasn't really moving, wasn't really doing anything, and we had a gap down too. If you look at most other oil names, like independent oil names, like this PXD, oil and gas, and all this kind of other stuff, these names were down. Rig happened to have some action on it. Okay, so this is where using some of the order flow that hits the tape intraday, as well as sector rotation that Jesus mentioned, obviously, you get some of these really big swing moves off of. This is where it can give you the tradable opportunities. Now, what you choose to do with it, as far as how you execute and where you choose to buy, your timing and all that kind of stuff, that is a whole different story, and that is trading. And trading is very difficult. Okay, so this is the kind of thing that we talk about inside the steam room, and that's where the real value of the steam room comes, because you actually learn when to pull the trigger on some of these things. Jesus, you want to hit Marco there with an answer?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, and that goes to what I initially said at the beginning of this webinar, that what I was showing can be used and utilized and incorporated into any style out there. That's the truth of the matter, Lucci. No matter if you're day trading like I am, If you're swing trading like maybe Marco is, okay, regardless of the type of trader you are, what I showed you as far as the sector sentiment and rotation and the initial stages of that can be used by anybody. But like Lucci just mentioned, what action, okay, and how you act and take advantage of that is all obviously on your plate. We can't push buttons for you. But the commentary that comes after that flow, and I think that's what he might be asking. In the steam room, Marco, every time any alert, any significant alert, okay, anything that I just showed you, as far as the sector bets were concerned, anytime that hits the board, I always will comment on it. Okay, I will always offer my opinion. So, for example, IBB. Oh, Lucci, you have your screen up. I have the IBB where Lucci had the screenshot of actual commentary in the steam room where people were trading it. And here it is, yeah. And when the IBB action took place, it was actually the day before, you know, my comments to follow were exactly that. Listen, IBB's catching sweeper action. This is significant because it never does. They're legitimate bets. IBB is in play right now. Okay, this is all stuff that I throw in right after the alerts.
Yeah.
And as you can see,
the next day, I mean, he threw it in there, and then the next day, like all the commentary for that particular day, and again, you're not seeing a lot of it here. But, you know, IBB was a name that I've been looking at for 2 months. And when he posted that buyer, that guy that's throwing in $500,000 right there, I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm rolling into this and I'm ready to go. The next morning, the thing prints like 258. And we were down the next day. We were down the next day significantly, actually, on the indexes. And this thing all of a sudden came back to 260. I'm like, that's it. I'm buying all dips here, and you see me there in the morning. It was 9:45 or whatever it was, saying I'm long more IBB. IBB held 260, and that's it. We're going. We're going. I took this thing to about 267 that day, and it ended up going to 280 in the next 3 days, you know? So, again, this is all stuff, activity that you will see in the steam room real time, and also adjust for gap downs and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like, you know, that order flow will hit the tape and then nobody's watching it. You know what I mean? Right. So every single day we'll take a look at it and be like, hey, that, you know, this thing is looking a little bit more interesting now. Maybe we'll go ahead and tag it for an entry.
Yeah, and the beauty about it, and I'll just make this quick point. After the orders hit the tape, okay, I'm going to throw my my commentary as far as my take on the action, how maybe we can play it. But then after that, you have Lucci, who doesn't really shut up about all that's taking place in the tape on the action. Okay, so like the IBB, for example, after the orders hit, and everybody got confirmation from me that they were legit, Lucci was instantaneously all over the tape and telling people how he was trading it. He was taking questions from people in the room how they should trade. So this is all an ongoing discussion that happens every day, and that's the beauty of the steam room. You know, that's what makes that different than anything else. So I just wanted to make that point.
Right, and again, if you're an advanced trader, you might not need us. You might not need us in particular in the steam room as far as you know, lining these things up. You might have the confidence in your own strategy, and you're going to rock out just with the private Twitter feed. You're going to be totally fine with the private Twitter feed. You know, because again, you're just looking at the order flow and you're looking at the ones that are going to help your own strategy. You know how to execute and all that kind of stuff, so you don't need us. For the folks that still need to understand, you know, how to trade some of these things, how to execute, how to build the right strategy for them, that's where the steam room can help you find, you know, find those things for you. And by the way, those things are absolutely vital to your survival as a trader. You know, if you're going to last here for anything longer than a year or two or whatever, and you're going to try to stop blowing out, you know, some of the accounts that you've been trading.
Yep. And that's the thing too. That's a whole the trading aspect is a whole other picture, as Lucci mentioned. That's a whole other story.
Indeed, indeed. All right, guys. So you have the link there for you. Again, those folks registered to this webinar here will be allowed to get into the Steam room for the first month for 49 bucks, and then you get billed after that for 199 a month after. Again, it's a really, really great place to be as far as for the reasons that we just stated, you know, and we can continue harping over it. But again, just try us out. Check it out, see if you like it, see if it helps your current strategy or helps you to build the right one for yourself. There's a lot of dope traders in there already. Again, we trade every single day, 9 to 4. Let's see. Let's go ahead and take some more questions here. James is saying, what I do is nibble on all the big unusual orders, and if one takes off, I add. That's totally fine, James. That's totally fine as long as you keep your risk tight, you know, on the names that are not working, let's say. You know, sometimes the unusual orders too, you know, they might take a little bit longer. They might take a little bit longer to manifest. And there might be a little bit more color that you need to add as far as what is the market doing, what are some of the other names doing, and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, so as long as your risk is tight, you know, that strategy is totally fine. Louis B. is asking, what are some of the factors you would use to decide whether to buy calls or sell puts to profit on these moves? And I'll just go ahead and answer that by saying it depends on the market environment. Where Bazooka Joe was, that Jesus was calling out, this is a super volatile environment. I would totally buy calls and buy puts during any of these initial sort of moves down here. Why? Because there's so much, there's so many, there's the ranges are so wide. Your potential for profitability on a call or a put is so much more here than it is up here. Okay, and when you get up here to these levels where things are, you know, ranges are tighter, it's a lot more difficult to go long a call because ranges are just tighter. This is where I would go ahead and sell a lot more options. When there's volatility, long calls and long puts all freaking day. When it starts to get a little bit tighter, this is when I would start shorting a call, shorting a put, instead of just buying, instead of just going long a call, long a put. Jesus, any comments on that one?
Yeah, no, that's a great answer, Lucy. That's it. And again, it all depends on you. Like Lucci does that quite successfully, selling puts. But you know, if you're not familiar with that, I don't recommend you do that. You definitely have to be knowledgeable when it comes to that game. But Lewis, it all comes down to what your anticipation or what your expectation of that move is. And that's how I look at it. And Lucci just gave a great example. As a rally becomes longer in the tooth, you know, the call buying becomes less significant. Again, the Bazooka Joe lows were significant only because there was no buying going on then, nothing. And then all of a sudden they started coming in and swinging the hammer in the Qs, Apple, Facebook. So that set up a big move for us. And I mentioned it earlier as well when I was showing you guys the sectors. The initial buying is where, again, that I keep using that term, but where that sweet spot is set up. In other words, when you first see those IBB sweepers, when you first see those QQQ sweepers, like we've seen QQQ action all the way up. Okay, so there's nothing really significant in that. It just tells us that the bullish trend is continuing. But when they start that initial buying, when they first step in, that's where you see those sizable major moves. And then that's up to you to come up with a game plan and plan accordingly to that.
Indeed, indeed. All right, guys. We got a couple more questions here. We'll go ahead and take a couple more questions. Again, just a reminder: get into the Steam room here for 49 for your first month, 199 after that. Great place here. We also have webinars here every Tuesday and Thursday. So we try to get a more community aspect. We try to get to know a lot of the traders in there. So it's not just us kind of harping in the chat room. We really know. Jesus and I have really come to know each trader's style. And we have a lot of different styles in there. And I know immediately when some of my traders are are, let's say, going outside of their strategy and starting to do other things that they shouldn't be. So it's starting to become a much more tight-knit community where we really understand each other. So it's much easier to help each other trade better and make better decisions during the day.
And the webinars, I love, because this is all new to me, obviously. Lucci's a seasoned pro when it comes to this stuff, but
Yep.
the webinars, I love them because it's so hard to sometimes get a point across with just typing in words. You know what I mean? They can be misinterpreted and so forth. So we do webinars, me and Lucci, Tuesday and Thursday, and now it's official. I'm doing a webinar every morning from 8:30 to about 9:20, just as a pre-market prep, every single day during the week. So going over the activity we seen the day before, open interest changes, a game plan on that particular day and the week. So those webinars are huge. I love those things.
Indeed, and those are all free, of course, or those are all contained, as long as you are in the Steam room, you'll get access to all the previous recordings. And again, it's a very, very tight-knit community where we work together every single day to try to find the best opportunities during the day. Now, as far as during the day and as far as us being over, helping you sort of with your execution, that's kind of what we want to work on towards the future. And again, this is a group, this is a community that is consistently working on new technology just to help each other out with some of the most difficult parts. And the most difficult part of trading is the actual execution. We can sit up here and talk all we want about, hey, we should have done this, we should have done that, you got to go with this is the best strategy for now, blah, blah, blah. We can sit here and talk all day and forever. If you suck as a trader, guess what? You're still going to lose your ass. So again, that's one of the things that we are going to work on, and we are working on aggressively here as far as new coming products that are going to be available just to our subscribers. So it's a very good place to advance your career as a trader. We have a couple great questions here. We're going to take three more here. James is saying, kind of a tangent, but any thoughts on why the market volume is super low, like it's summer already? We have, this is something that Jesus and I both have sort of predicted here, just kind of going forward, is that, a lot of the flow that we've been seeing that posts every single day are a lot of May bets, a lot of earnings-esque bets out to May, which tell us that we are already getting into that sort of tight range, a very difficult trading environment that usually appears during earnings season as well as the summertime months. I would say there's another question here, Jesus, saying from Juliana saying, do you see the same action at the top of a turn like in December and January before the turn down? And I think for today, these both questions are kind of relevant to answer at the same time, because we're not seeing that type of action, right? We're not seeing huge buyers making put bets out here. All we're seeing is small protection bets and people rolling out long, their long bets out to September, October, well into the summer months, June, and all that kind of stuff. So Jesus and I have both more or less came to the agreement on the prediction that, the next 3-4 months into the summer are going to be pretty damn slow.
Yeah, and, those are two great questions. One, the volume, again, the option volume has been okay as far as the order flow is concerned, but you got to understand, from the lows where we really saw significant call buying coming in, okay, and it's sort of like you could picture a funnel from going from the widest to the thinnest. It's sort of thinned down from sector to sector to sector, and coincidentally right till earnings season. So it's almost like a wait-and-see mode, and like Lucci mentioned, a lot of positions, profitable positions rolling out further to try to avoid this choppy earnings season per se, all right? And Juliana brings up a great question as far as, do we see similar action like we saw with the Bazooka Joe Lows? And the answer to that, Juliana, is actually no, because what you would start seeing first is a lack of buying. Okay, because the put buying, you're always going to see some put buying, especially when a market's rallied significantly, because people are protecting their profitable positions. And, that's actually a good thing. It makes sense. Right now, if you want to take on a serious long position, it's actually prudent to probably protect that position with some puts. okay, especially into earnings. So puts are really hard to get a gauge on, but what you will start to see is a lack of buying. We saw that late last year. We kind of blamed it on the holiday season, and then we saw it into the beginning of the year, and it just turned into just aggressive put buying. Okay, so it's more of a drawn-out approach rather than those bazooka Joe-Los where boom, you just see, the aggressive size come in on the call side. So it's a little bit different.
Indeed, indeed. Let's see. We have Rob Flowers here. Is saying, where can you find the links for the Thursday and Tuesday and Thursday webinars? If you're actually a member of the Steam Room here, you're just going to click on this pinned messages here, and it'll go ahead and give you a description on where to find all your Steam Room webinars here and a password that you can use to get into it. Again, you got to be a member here for the webinars. And that is how you go ahead and access that. Let's see what else we got here. We have
a good one from Joe. How does earnings season affect the Steam Room? That's a good one.
Yeah. Earnings season is a big deal. I mean, again, you're going to see a lot of bets like this. So, for example, you're going to see a lot of bets on both sides of the tape for big names like this one. Apple, for whatever reason, came out with that news Friday about less demand for iPhone or some shit like that, and then all of a sudden, we saw a big major sell-off. And you'll see stuff like this, you'll see stuff like this a month out, somebody protecting like a really, really most likely substantial large position in Apple. But at the same time, you'll see like another $1 million bet on the long side for the same name. So you will see a lot of big players coming around to make their bets on earnings, but that doesn't mean that the trade, that you have an actionable opportunity intraday on that particular name. All it means is this guy's taking a big, leg out there for earnings. So again, earnings season makes things a little bit more difficult to read, a little bit more difficult to understand. And again, it takes a little bit of experience just knowing what order flow to follow versus what is just a straight earnings bet and, something that you may not want to pay too much attention to.
Yeah, earnings flow is tough, and that's why I like that question, and I always make that point. Me personally, I hate earnings season. I hate it because what you'll see is you'll see a lot of unusual size, and what I mean by that is you'll see a 5,000 lot buyer in a name that never sees a 5,000 lot buyer and will only see it during earnings. So again, it could be there's a lot of hedging. It could be stock replacement where an individual player has a decent sized stock position and wants to take less risk by converting them into calls. So there's a lot that goes on during earnings season. What I like to say and stress to members, if you see action you like into an earnings name, sit back, wait, and if that action was real, you'll see it post earnings as well. Okay? So in other words, if you see a call buying an XYZ, but it looks like it may be an earnings bet, wait till after the earnings, and maybe you might get lucky, stock sells off for whatever reason, and you'll see the call buying come in again, and that's actually a very strong indication of a stock moving higher. Okay? So in earnings season is more of a sit back and wait mode. Like Lucci said, you can day trade things because all these bets create momentum. A lot of these bets will create intraday momentum. We saw it in the rig. We see it all day long. Even on the put side, you will see weakness over that course of that day. But as far as swing positions are concerned, it's more of a wait and see and create a watch list type environment.
Indeed, indeed. We have one more question that, honestly, Jesus, I want to just kind of put this to rest and really give a good explanation on this one. Is that Rudy is asking, are you using Trade Alert order flow? And we get this question a lot. Again, we probably get this every single week, and it's kind of this question where we have a very involved relationship with Trade Alert, so that is where we get our technology from. And the way that Jesus has crafted the particular filters and the flow that we get here is very specific. He looks for specific things that give us the opportunity to find some actionable sort of trading opportunities. Trade Alert is a platform, a technology platform basically, where they have access to all kinds of data and all kinds of options volume, as well as equities volume as well. And there's so many things that you can use that particular software for, and it's almost too expensive for any one human being to figure the damn thing out, on just an actionable sort of a tradable kind of situation here. Jesus, what do you have to say on the Trade Alert?
No, no doubt. I'm proud of it, actually. I mean, they're the best when it comes to option data in the game. Our flow is powered by Trade Alert. Yep. And, there's nobody I'd rather use than Trade Alert. But as far as the flow you're seeing in the Steam room and the private Twitter alerts, again, like Lucci mentioned, we're looking at a very specific, aggressive type of order flow, okay? But, again, the option data is powered by Trade Alert, yes.
Right.
I mean, that should answer the question, yeah.
Yeah. And again, like Trade Alert is very expansive as far as what you can do, and it's very difficult to use too. So for a regular kind of retail customer to go in there and figure out how to use it and understand, how to find the type of flow that they're looking for, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. They spend what would you say, Jesus, like 6 months to a year just to understand how to use the damn thing.
That's the tough part, and that's one of the knocks on Trade Alert, that it's really difficult to use. Again, if you're experienced, okay, and you're a member of the Steam room and you can afford to subscribe to Trade Alert as well, I mean, that's not a bad idea, okay? I mean, you become more familiar with it and so forth. But if you're really not too familiar with option flow and not too familiar with their software, you're going to be really kind of lost, as far as trying to gather the information that we're looking at. Right. But if you're a seasoned option trader and are looking to get on Trade Alert in addition to what we're doing, what you're seeing in the room, you could. But all this data here is powered by Trade Alert. They're the quickest out there. They gather the sweeps better than anybody in the game. So, again, something I'm proud of in this room. The option data being powered by Trade Alert.
Indeed. And we're also looking to further expand our relationship with them as well, and continue to bring in more of the resources that they have, more of the technology that they have, to better advance, the order flow activity that we are porting in through the Steam room. A lot of the, let's say, spread trades, some of the major selling options trades, things like that. We're also looking to get automatically ported into the room as well. And
visuals too. Yeah. And visuals. We're working on charts, like getting intraday charts, so you could get a nice visual of where the sweepers and the Steam is coming in. So we're working really tight with Trade Alert, and there's going to be a lot of cool things coming.
Hell yeah. More of a reason for you guys to come check us out. So again, just end it all here. You guys can go ahead and use the link here to access the Steam room here first month for a hefty discount at $49, and you'll get rebilled at $199 after that. Hopefully we will see you guys in there. And again, we will do these webinars every Saturday. New topics are coming, of course. Jesus, thank you, and we'll see you guys hopefully in the Steam room on Monday.
Yep, thanks for spending the early Saturday, guys. Have a great weekend.
Later.
Later.